Well, Julia, I'll kick off this one. So we're with Mark Seguin. He is our rep for LegalShield and IDShield. This is one of the other benefits that we do offer. We always talk about it during open enrollment, but they are actually open at any time. So if you don't decide to do it today, you can always do it next month, January, things like that. So if you do decide you want to do that, we will obviously check to make sure you either want to get it started in January or if you want to get it started in December, if you do elect to do this month in November, or if you sign up now. So Legal Shield is great. ID Shield is great. I personally have Legal Shield. I've done my will through them. I filled it all out on the phone. I was really nervous because we were traveling out of the country and leaving my baby alone for the first time. So I was like, wanted to protect us and him. And so I thought this was a really great thing to have. So Mark will talk a little bit more about that. But the way Mark likes to interact, so definitely put questions into the chat, and we can have him answer them live. And then you'll have time at the end for questions. So you can also unmute yourself at that point. So take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I appreciate you all setting this up today. And it's fun to get to present to everybody again because I know it's been a while since COVID has interrupted our lives. So anyway, I'm excited today to present the Legal Shield and the ID Shield because there's a bunch of new stuff. So before I jump into it, I will say this. A lot of you that work there at TAC already have the Legal Shield and the ID Shield. And if you already have it, you don't need to do anything other than just make sure you're using it, that you've downloaded the apps, you're using the apps because they help you, get your money's worth and use the service. But what I'm going to present to you today is the current coverage that you have and then a bunch of enhancements. So those of you that currently have it can upgrade to the new stuff that I'm going to talk about today, or those of you that don't have it, of course, as Rachel said, can enroll for a December 1 or a January 1 effective date. So with that said, I'll into this. I like to start off with some questions. And my first question is, a lot of people will say to me, well, Mark, I don't really need identity theft protection. I have terrible credit score. Well, Legal Shield can help you with that, but that's a whole another thing we'll talk about in a minute. Or they'll say, I don't need an attorney, never used an attorney, or when I used an attorney, it was a bad experience. And the truth is, we all need attorneys and identity theft protection at different points in our life. It's kind of like auto insurance. You don't need it till you need it. You don't need it till you have a fender bender. You don't need a warranty on your car until your car breaks, or, homeowner's insurance, those kind of things until you have, a roof hail damage or whatever it is. So question, have you been notified that you've ever been in a data breach? If you've been in a data breach, that doesn't mean you're a victim of identity theft, but it means you're a victim of a data breach, which means your information is in the hands of thieves. And what are they doing with it? We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Have you ever received a speeding ticket? It's too bad we're not all in the same room. It's always fun to ask people to raise their hands because, most of us have had a speeding ticket or some kind of ticket. And every once in a while, I'll meet somebody that's never gotten one. But if we've had a speeding ticket, then we might have needed to use an attorney that would have bettered our outcome in that situation. Or if you signed a contract, did you have an attorney review that contract before you signed it? And I bet most of you will say no, unless you know an attorney that's a friend or a relative. Have you been a victim of identity theft? Has somebody stolen your identity, used credit cards, opened up accounts in your name? Have you ever done your will or wanted to do an estate plan? If you have, or if you've done one, they're expensive. And through Legal Shield, as Rachel said, it's a very affordable way to get your will done and updated annually for those that as our life changes. And so I'll talk about that a little bit, but I kind of ask those questions to kind of get everybody to realize we could probably use to have a legal plan. So what Legal Shield has done is we now have tap, call, equal access, and basically everything about our legal plan is in the palm of our hand. For example, you still get personal legal advice, unlimited consultation on unlimited subject matters, but you just do it through the app. And in the app, you have a number of ways to do it. One, you can click request a consult. You can schedule the time that you want the attorneys to call you back. Literally, you're not sitting there playing phone tag, missing the attorney's call. You can say, hey, I want you to call me today at 5:30, 6 o'clock, or at 2 o'clock, or whatever it is, or at lunchtime. Whereas in the old days, we're just like, we put in our call and we hope for the best. And so now it kind of gives you that ability to schedule that return call. And you can talk to them about anything: family law, real estate, child custody, criminal, civil, pre-existing issues, hypothetical questions. Anything you need to talk to an attorney about, you can pick up your phone, open that app, and request that consult. And there's even a button if you want to talk to them right now. If you're old school and you're like, I don't want to go through the requesting process, I just want to call an attorney, well, that's fine. There's a button at the bottom of the app you click on, and it instantly calls the law firm, and you schedule a return call that way. The other thing they do, and this is huge, they write letters and make phone calls on your behalf. So when you have a situation where you need an attorney to write a letter, I'll give you an example. I had a collection show up on my credit report a few years ago, and it was $3,600. And it didn't just show up on my credit report, it went to a collection agency. And I knew it wasn't mine because it was only $3,600. All of my debts are bigger than that. Can y'all relate? So I knew it wasn't mine. So literally the law firm wrote a motivational letter on the law firm letterhead to the collection agency and to the credit reporting agencies. And within a couple of weeks, it was off my credit, and it's been several years now. And it's never been an issue. But when I tried to call the collection agency myself, no one answered. When I called the credit reporting agency, all I get is, endless voicemail loops. So it's huge to have this ability. The other thing they do is they review contracts and documents. We've all signed a contract, either for a house, apartment, a car, a loan, a cell phone. I mean, a number of other potential contracts we've all signed. But how many of us had attorneys review those contracts before we sign them? With a LegalShield plan, the law firm will review those contracts. Literally, you can open up the phone, open up the app, click on the app, and there's an option in there to take a picture of a contract. You take a picture of that contract, it instantly uploads to the law firm in Fort Worth. By the way, the law firm is Ross and Matthews. They are in Fort Worth. Over 100 attorneys there, and we are 98% of their business. So they are there, and they get a paycheck of over $1 million a month, whether you make a call or send them a contract to review or not. So let's use them so they're earning that money. But they'll review that contract, go over it with you line by line, letting you know what you're getting into before you get into it. True story, we had a member that bought a new car, thought they were getting 2.5% interest. After they faxed the contract in, it turns out it was 2.5, but it was for 2 years. After that, it jumped to 18% for the remaining 3 years. After the attorney reviewed that contract and spoke to the dealership, I don't know what they said to the dealership, but our member was pretty happy. They left there that day with their new car, 0% interest for 5 years, and there weren't any specials being advertised. So it's huge to have that kind of access. The other thing they do is they give us IRS audit assistance. So if you're ever audited with IRS, starting with the year that you become a member, so if you enroll before January 1st, your tax return you did this past April 15th will be covered. That's one advantage to getting it done before the 1st. You also have civil trial defense. I mean, literally, if you are sued for something civilly, you will have 60 hours of attorney time starting this year. Those of you that have had this membership for years, you got 60 hours the first year, and every year after up to year 5, they added 60 years. So you have 60 hours. So you have 300 hours of attorney time, those of you that signed up years ago. And so anybody that signs up today, you'll have 60 hours. Every year they'll add 60 hours, and it builds up to that 300 hours of attorney time, which is huge as well. The other thing that they do is family domestic services. So you get uncontested divorce, uncontested adoption, uncontested name change, uncontested separation. I literally have a friend of mine lives out in California. And by the way, LegalShield's in every state in the U.S. and all the provinces of Canada. So it doesn't matter where you are, you're covered. And if you ever leave, TAC, you can take it with you when you go, or leave Texas, you can take it with you. But here's the cool thing. A friend of mine in California, he adopted 2 kids. And he, for whatever reason, I didn't know him early on, but he didn't have LegalShield back in the day. I think he had the old coverage, which didn't do this, but the new coverage covers the cost of the adoption. So for the attorney fees. So literally, this friend of mine adopts 2 children at different times. Each one, the attorney fees were over $10,000. If he had had a LegalShield plan and had had it for 90 days or more, he would have not paid a dime for attorney fees. they would have been 100% covered, because both of the adoptions he did were uncontested. They were just, unwed pregnant moms in situations, and they were adopting their children out. So it's a cool program to have. Or if you have someone that wants to change their name or something like that, or let's face it, sometimes we need to get a divorce. It's part of life. And so this is a great way to save some money in that process. The other thing they do, and I'm going to do a little confession here if y'all don't mind, is they help you with traffic tickets. And I'll be honest with you, I've had LegalShield now, believe it or not, almost 20 years. But in my first 8 years of being a LegalShield member, I got 8 speeding tickets. Not because I speed a lot, I just forget to slow down. And so when you forget to slow down, you didn't see the sign, you didn't realize you were coming into town. And I had gotten 8 speeding tickets. And of those speeding tickets, only 1 ever went on my record. So the law firm was able to negotiate. I typically still paid a fine, but they didn't cause my insurance rates to go up, didn't put my insurance at risk. And the one that went on my driving record here in Texas, y'all write this down, is Palestine, Texas. That was one place where the law firm had 2 options: fight it or pay it. And I said, well, let's fight it. And they said, well, we're going to put you on the stand. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And they said, well, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. Let me just run the questions by you. And I said, okay. And he said, the first question is going to be, were you speeding? And I said, yes. He goes, great, we just lost the case. So I just paid that one. But of all the others, the law firm had been very successful at keeping them on record. The other cool thing is you can literally open up the app, and you can see right here, you snap a picture of the ticket, it instantly uploads to the law firm, and within 4 business hours or less, the law firm calls you back and lets you know what your options are. So I have used that a lot over the years, and it's a really cool program. The other thing they do, and this is huge to me, is there was a lady in the news years ago. I know Rachel talked about using it, but there was a lady in the news years ago that didn't have a will, and she was in a car wreck in Georgia, put on life support for 15 years. And then there was a big battle in court. They unplugged her. She did not have her estate planning done. Now, she was young. And so some of us who are young, maybe I'm not so young anymore, but I will tell you this: when you're young, and even my age, we're like, I don't need to do a will right now. I'll do one later. You know what? You need to do it now, because you don't know what the future holds. And this is a very affordable way to do it. They'll do your will, your living will, and your financial and healthcare powers of attorney. And let me tell you why the living will is important. Terry Shiba was plugged in for 15 years on a feeding tube. She was in a vegetative state. I don't know about you. I don't want to lay there for 15 years on a feeding tube. But on the other hand, I don't want my wife to unplug me too quickly. So, let God and my body work together to kind of determine that. So with this service, you can get these documents done, the estate plan done. And if you need to cut your kids in and out periodically based on behavior, you can do that once a year at no additional charge. Or at least threaten your kids. So it's huge. The other thing they do is 24/7, 365 emergency access. As you can see here in the app, you can call the law firm anytime, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5. In emergency situations, 24/7, 365, you hit this red button. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning. I mean, I'll be honest with you, when I was in my early 20s, I was driving across Tennessee from Texas, heading up to North Carolina to visit some family. And I got pulled over at 2 in the morning, and the officer wanted to search my trunk. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know whether I should let him search my trunk or not. But I can tell you, in today's day and time, it's nice to be able to call an attorney real quick in the middle of the night and say, hey, I just got pulled over. I'm in the middle of Tennessee somewhere. Can you just hang on the phone? Let me put you on speakerphone as the police officer comes up to the car. And you know what? 90% of the time, you won't need it. But it's that 1% or 10% of the time, or 1% or whatever it is, it's nice to know what your rights are. So it gives you that ability. Another situation where a lady should have had this service, she was in Utah, and it was 10 o'clock at night. She gets a knock on the door, and it's CPS and the sheriff's department. And they are there to take her kids away and arrest her. And here's what she was arrested for. They said that she had given birth to a meth baby and skipped out of the hospital. The truth is, she hadn't had a baby in 4 years, but someone used her identity, went into the hospital, and gave birth. And so she had to submit to a medical exam while CPS had her kids. I'm going to tell you what, that would have been a horrifying situation to have to go through. But with a LegalShield plan, you could literally call an attorney in the middle of the night and get some help on the spot. The last part of the legal plan is the preferred member discount. I call it the bad hair day plan. If anybody's ever had a bad hair day, here's my definition of a bad hair day. You or a covered family member steals a car, robs a bank, files bankruptcy and divorce, and drives 120 down Broadway backwards after you finish smoking a joint out behind the bus barn. Would you agree that's a bad hair day? And if you don't agree, pretend like you do. But even those things are covered under the preferred member discount. So you're never stuck, going, well, I can't use LegalShield. No, you can use LegalShield. It's either going to be 100% covered or it's going to be partially covered. And one of the cool things about LegalShield is they encourage you to use it, that we want you to use it and have that access. Now, that's the legal plan. I've hit the highlights on because we don't have time to go in great detail here. But by the way, there's going to be an email going out after this call. Rachel is going to send it out. And that email will give you a lot of detail and my contact info too, so you can reach out to me for more details. So Forbes magazine ranked for 2021 IDShield as the best identity theft protection. I could have told them that because I've done the research and I compare them all the time. But it definitely brought some validation to what I believed based on my research. For the money and the coverage, LegalShield is one of the best choices, or IDShield is one of the best choices out there. So the IDShield gives you an app as well for your phone. You can see right here, it gives you your current credit score. It shows you the date that it's updated. Mine is updated about every 30 days, and I always go in and look at it. And one of the things you can do is you just click anywhere on this bar, and you can see why your score went up or why it went down. I know I was shocked when I first started using the app, and I noticed when I paid stuff off, my credit score went down initially because they want us in debt. So don't ask me why, but it's kind of a messed up situation how it works. But it does help you understand where you are. And if somebody else is using your credit or using your identity, it's going to affect your score. And so it's a good thing that you're able to see real time. Also, right down here at the bottom, you can see there's a call IDShield support. That actually gets you right to either customer support or the investigators, whatever your situation is. So it's handy to have that as well. Any alerts that you get are going to pop up right here. And so I got 3 new alerts last week. All of them were sex offenders that had moved into my neighborhood. Yes, you heard me, sex offenders. So I set up a perimeter around my house, and you can do 1 mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. I had to do 5 miles because when I did 1 mile, it kept popping up every day. Too many moving in. And I spread it. When I set it to 10 miles, it kept popping up every day. So I backed it up to 5 miles. So I would only get alerts once in a while. The sad part is there's a lot of them around us. But if you have kids or grandkids, it's nice to know what they look like and which ones are a threat to kids and, or adults or whatever. So it gives you details about them. So those alerts will pop up here. Also, you're monitoring alerts for your credit, dark web, all of these different things I'm going to show you pop up here and let you know you got something going on. So they monitor your credit score, which is important to have. They also monitor your social security numbers, passport, driver's license number, email addresses, phone numbers, medical ID, usernames, and passwords. And they're monitoring on the dark web for all of those things. Because when you think about all the data breaches that have happened over the past several years, that information is being put on the dark web for sale. I've been alerted 3 times in the past couple of years from 3 different data breaches that my information is on the dark web. And so by being notified of it, I was able to take steps to either prevent or reduce the impact from that data breach. One of them was the Experian data breach. Some of you might remember where 50% of the United States was breached by that one credit reporting agency. And so it monitors for all of those things. It also monitors your financial accounts, and you can set thresholds. So for example, you can put into the app, you put in your account numbers, you put in your bank accounts, savings accounts, 401ks, all of those things. And what it does, and you can set a parameter. So if somebody spends more than $100 on your credit card, you can have an alert set on it. If somebody transfers money out of one of your bank accounts, you can set a number and it will alert you. And you can make it so it alerts you every time you use it, or you can make it a dollar amount, whatever you want to do. The good thing is you can keep track on what your kids are doing if they have a credit card that's yours, or you can keep track on what your spouse is doing. But I didn't say that. But it gives you that kind of ability to kind of keep up with stuff. And so, it's that way the earlier you catch it, the less damage, you're going to have. Now, here is some exciting news. We, LegalShield and IDShield, have partnered with Trend Micro. And so now we have some maximum security stuff. We've got new AI technology that's being offered through Trend Micro to actually monitor your computers and your devices. So if you buy the family plan, the LegalShield IDShield family plan, then you can cover up to 15 devices. So computers, cell phones, desktops, those kind of things. If you're an individual and you just buy the individual plan, it'll cover up to 3 devices. So you will get a VPN specifically to download on your computer and all your devices, so that when you connect from a public Wi-Fi or hotspot that's not secure, and you might go, well, what's not secure, Mark? Well, if you connect to any free Wi-Fi, it's not secure. Here's why. On a free Wi-Fi, anybody else can connect to it for free. And if they have the right software, they can see every keystroke of your computer, and they can see what website you're on. So they will get a hold of your credentials and be able to log in. If you have VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network, excuse me, it creates a tunnel, if you will, that no one can penetrate or see what websites you're on or what keystrokes you are doing on your device. So it really helps with that. It also gives you a password manager. I don't know about you, but I am constantly running out of ideas for passwords. And I have a system. I literally have a system. But what I'm finding is that my system of putting passwords in, some new software won't let me use an asterisk, or it won't let me use an @ symbol, or it's just, they're constantly creating problems. So the new password manager does that for you, and it's through Trend Micro, and they are a very, very solid company. You can check them out on the web if you want to. The other thing it does, and this is really cool, and this is new, and it's exciting, you now have privacy, reputation management, and score. Now, part of this I'm about to tell you should scare the crud out of you, is that you have a social media score. You and I are being scored on the internet. When a business or a college or university or a scholarship committee is considering us or our children, they are researching us on the internet, and they're taking all the data they find to decide whether we're a potential candidate to receive that scholarship, to receive that job offer, whatever it is. And they're looking at stuff. They have software that goes in and pulls in all the data. They have AI that they're using to research us. Well, now LegalShield and IDShield have AI that you can control your score and your reputation. So literally, here's what happens. When you put your credentials in, and I don't know if you can see this really good on the screen, but it says factors that may affect your score. There are 14 positive ones here, 2 moderate ones, and 3 at high risk. Let me give you an example. Let's say when you were in college, you took some pictures with some friends and you were making vulgar gestures with your hands. Maybe you were touching somebody for fun with their permission in an inappropriate way. Maybe you were chug-a-lugging something that, you probably shouldn't take a picture while you're chug-a-lugging. Maybe you were inebriated and you weren't maybe clothed quite as much as you should have been. Whatever it might be, this AI will research it, then it will let you view it, and it will let you go delete, and it will delete it from the source, whether the source is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever it finds it online. So it gives you that ability to get rid of it. It also gives you your score. It tells you about what your score should be and some things you can do to adjust it. As you can see here online, you log yourself in through your social media accounts, and it keeps up with that for you. And I'm going to tell you, that's a powerful tool to be able to look back 10, 15, 20 years ago when you first set up your Facebook account. And so that's one of the things I'm really excited about. They also have a new member portal that you log into. And those of you that already have IDShield, you don't need to go here unless you're enrolling in the new plan, okay? You can keep going to the old IDShield login or using the app the way that you currently are. But those of you that upgrade to the new plan, you'll actually get a new website to go log into, and it'll give you the ability to actually activate all of these things like the dark web monitoring, the reputation management, the anti-malware software that you can put on your computers and your cell phones and whatnot, as well as the VPN and the password. And those are apps, that will go on your phone and or on your computer that you can download. So it's pretty cool. And you'll have two ways to do it. You can either do it over here on the left, or you can click on these panes over here on the right once you log into those sites. As always, we still have the $1 million identity fraud protection that's on the IDShield. What that's for, if somebody steals money out of your account and your bank won't give it back to you, or you have to fly to, Chicago to stand in court and say, hey, I didn't do that. The IDShield has $1 million to back up your out-of-pocket expenses and reimburse those to you, as it has for a long time. Now, here's something new and cool. If you got to have both plans. If you have the new IDShield and the LegalShield plan both, you now get free credit counseling and education. So what is that for? Well, if you want advice on how you can help, you want to get help on ways you can bring your credit score up. You need some help setting up a budget. I don't know how to budget. How much money should I be budgeting for a house payment? How much money should I be budgeting for a car payment? How much money should I spend each month for entertainment? How much money should I be spending on, going out to eat? And, for some of us on this call, we may be going, well, that's ridiculous. I already know that. But you know what? There's a lot of people that are unsure about that. I mean, I have 5 kids, and it's been interesting to me to watch the kids, how different they are. And some of them are great at budgeting, and they never have any financial problems. They don't borrow money from me. Or if they do, they pay it back when they say they would. And then some of my other kids, they can't figure out how to budget. They can't seem to budget, and they're always in a bind. So this kind of program is very helpful at helping you manage your finances and have that peace of mind. And let's be honest, some of us have a crummy credit score from bad choices in the past, or just we got into situations that we had no control of, and we need help cleaning that up. And so this is a holistic approach, even negotiating debts. So if you have past debts that you need to get off of your credit, they will negotiate those for you. The law firm will literally call up your creditors and say, look, we want to negotiate with our client and negotiate those numbers down. And I've heard some big negotiation numbers that they have been able to do at times. So it's worth using. It's an affordable way to do it. And this is just some of the things that they can help you with, debt management. And I'll let you guys look over that for a second. I kind of already said most of that, but it's just huge. So who's covered under the plan? So maybe you're married, maybe you have a significant other, maybe you're married and you have a significant other, I don't know, and maybe you have kids. So how's it work? So it covers you, and if you get the family plan, it covers you and your spouse or significant other, not and significant other, okay? The family plan also covers your kids, and it will cover up to 10 kids at one time. So you can have I doubt most of you, I do know a guy that has 10 kids actually, but most people don't have that many. So most of us don't have to worry about that. And it covers them up to age 26. So it monitors your kids' social media, keeps up with what they're doing on social media, and it monitors their credit and everything all the way up till they turn 18. After they turn 18, all the way to their 26, it's going to be available for consultation and identity restoration, because you can't monitor someone who's an adult without them actually setting it up right. So you get the full coverage for them to 18, and then you get partial coverage after 18 to 26 under the ID theft part of the plan. The legal plan covers them all the way to 26. You can also get an individual plan. So if you're not married, no kids, then the individual plan might be for you, and it's a little bit cheaper, which I'll go over in a minute. So that's an option as well. So here is the pricing.
I'm so sorry to to hop in. Okay, it sounds like you're wrapping up, but we do have someone who's presenting at 3 o'clock, so I just wanted to hop in and
Okay.
let you know.
So I need to do really quick. So the pricing is LegalShield is $18.95. The IDShield for individuals $12.95. The family IDShield is $22.95. And if you combine them, you get some discounts. And so I'll just go all the way to the end here. Member perks is part of the program. I'll be sending out, actually I won't, but HR will be sending out information on how you can enroll. You can actually do it securely online at this link, which will be an email that will go out to you, or you can do this PDF and you can fax it back to us, or you can scan it, password protected, email it back to us. And yeah, so that's the end of my presentation. I apologize for going a little bit long.
No, it was great. Thanks so much, Mark. We did have one question. Does the
Okay.
financial planning include looking at student debt?
It does. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes. Good question. Good question.
All right. And anybody who has more questions for Mark, maybe take a screenshot. Here's his contact information, and I'm sure he would love to meet with you. He's
Yeah.
very
I'd love
personable,
to
as
talk
you can
with
see.
anybody that wants to talk and visit. We can go over the phone, we can email, or we can Zoom. Any of that's fine. And a quick question, when will you guys get that email out to everybody?
We'll get the email out after all of this has wrapped up because we'll want to send it out with some of the videos too. So we'll probably send out your video and then that information so they can watch what
Great.
you spoke about. So it could
Fantastic.
go out latest tomorrow, just because we have some editing to do, but
Awesome.
that's the plan.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
All right. Thanks
All
so
right.
much, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye.
All right.